These guys have missed me for sure. They've been very vocal on social media, so I'm excited to finally get back in the cage and do what I do best.
When Dana White speaks, the MMA world listens, and this time, the shockwaves were felt across every organization on the planet. Rumors began to swirl. The UFC president had sent a private message to PFL's undefeated knockout artist, Dakota Dicha.
The world is mine. I don't know. We'll have to sit together with PFL and see what we can come up with. But I just beat the best girl that's out there out of any other division. So,
The message was short, but its meaning was massive. You're next for Valentina Shevchenko. That one line ignited chaos. 2 worlds, 2 champions, one dream matchup that could change the landscape of women's MMA forever. On one side stood Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko, a woman defined by precision, control, and legacy. On the other stood Dakota Dicha, young, hungry, undefeated, and frighteningly powerful. The PFL's golden girl, the new face of dominance. For years, fans debated who truly reigned as the best flyweight in the world. Now, it wasn't just talk. This was the possibility of a super fight that blurred the line between organizations, between eras, between past and future. Valentina Shevchenko's name is etched into combat sports history. A Muay Thai master who evolved into one of the most complete mixed martial artists the world had ever seen. Her reign in the UFC flyweight division was built on discipline, on structure, on brilliance under pressure. She wasn't just a fighter, she was a machine. Her technique? Flawless. Her composure? Unbreakable. Every movement calculated, every strike a statement. But time, the one opponent no fighter can escape, had begun to whisper her name. At 37, Valentina was still dangerous, still elite, but the whispers of decline had begun. Analysts, fans, even fellow fighters started to wonder, could the next generation finally be ready to take her crown? And standing at the front of that new generation was a woman from Manchester, England, who had never tasted defeat. Dakota Dicha wasn't supposed to be a star. Not this fast, not this bright. Picked up by the PFL when few outside of Europe even knew her name, she quickly became the most terrifying prospect in women's MMA. 15 wins, 0 losses, 12 knockouts. The kind of numbers you see in video games, not in real life. Her power, her composure, her ruthlessness, it all made her feel inevitable. Dana White knew what he was seeing. The fans knew what they were watching. This wasn't hype. This was evolution. Dakota's rise was violent poetry. Each fight, another chapter in a story of precision and power. In a world where everyone talked, she let her fists speak. And they spoke louder than anyone expected. Her most recent test came in Cape Town, South Africa. The night she faced Sumiko Inaba, an undefeated challenger with everything to gain and nothing to lose. From the opening bell, Dakota's control was absolute. Every kick snapped like a whip. Every knee landed with the force of a hammer. Sumiko came forward bravely, but every attack met a wall of skill and violence. The crowd roared as Dakota unleashed front kicks to the face, elbows from the clinch, and body shots that made the audience wince. But then, in the middle of her dominance, something went wrong. Dakota injured her left hand. Pain shot through her arm. Most fighters would have slowed down, would have retreated. Dakota didn't. She adapted. Kicks, right hands, spinning attacks. She transformed the pain into fuel. For 15 minutes, she painted a masterpiece of destruction, landing over 170 strikes. When the bell rang, the decision was unanimous. Another win, another promise kept. But it wasn't just the victory that defined that night. It was what came after. Blood still fresh on her gloves, Dakota stood in the cage and dropped a bombshell. She had re-signed with the PFL. The crowd erupted as she smiled through the pain of her injured hand. "I've just re-signed," she said, "and I'm ready for the next few years together." Gratitude, loyalty, and hunger. That's what defined her. She didn't run toward the UFC. She built her empire where she stood. Yet, even as she pledged her future to the PFL, questions hung in the air. Could she resist the call of history? Could she really say no to the chance to fight Valentina Shevchenko, the woman everyone called the greatest of all time? The MMA world began to buzz, because if the greatest of today met the most dangerous of tomorrow, something legendary would unfold. Before Dakota could even think about Valentina, another storm came her way. Lisa Molden, confident, loud, and ready to shock the world. At PFL 1 in Texas, Lisa promised to go for it, to win bad, to take what's hers. She called out Dakota like a storm calling out the sea. But if confidence could win fights, the world would be full of champions. From the first bell, Dakota dismantled her. Body shots, knees, pressure. Molden tried to trade, but every exchange broke her rhythm. Every second drained her will. And then, the final blow. A vicious knee to the ribs that sent shock through the arena. The referee had no choice. First round TKO. Dakota stood tall again, the undefeated monster, proving that words don't win wars. Actions do. Then came Catherine Koraginas, an American brawler who wanted chaos. "I want to bang," she said before the fight, promising to drag Dakota into a war. Dakota just smiled. "They're all talkers," she replied. And once again, she was right. When the cage door closed, Dakota was surgical. Her stance, her timing, her power, it all came together in terrifying harmony. Catherine charged forward, swinging wild, trying to make it ugly. But Dakota's precision was unmatched. One counter, one right hand, and it was over. The crowd stood silent for a moment, processing what they had just seen. Another first-round knockout. Another dream shattered. Dakota walked away without a scratch, her legacy growing larger with every finish. She didn't scream. She didn't celebrate. She just left the cage with the same cold calm that made her unstoppable. By now, the world had taken notice. Analysts like Dan Hardy called her the future of the division. Fans compared her to a young Valentina. And Dana White, always the businessman, saw something even bigger. A super fight that could bridge organizations. "Stay ready," he allegedly told her. "You're next." Those 3 words became the spark for the biggest conversation in MMA. What if the UFC and PFL joined forces for one night? What if we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Dakota Dicha? The ultimate test of legacy versus destiny. Valentina, the queen of calculated destruction. Dakota, the storm of pure violence. Old guard versus new blood. For the first time, it felt real. The fantasy fight fans always dreamed of might actually happen. But the story of champions isn't just about victories. It's about moments that define who they are. Valentina, after everything she'd achieved, wasn't chasing money or fame anymore. She was chasing something deeper. Proof. Proof that she could still stand above everyone, even the rising monsters coming for her throne. And Dakota, with her unbeaten record and youth, wasn't fighting for legacy yet. She was fighting for a rival. To prove that she wasn't the next big thing. She was the thing. Their collision wasn't just a fight. It was an evolution of eras. Every time Dakota spoke, fans heard confidence. Every time Valentina entered the cage, fans saw perfection. When those two worlds collide, perfection meets fearlessness. And one has to break. In the end, this story isn't about who's number one or who holds the belt. It's about the pursuit of greatness. It's about two women who refuse to be ordinary. Valentina Shevchenko, the queen who built her kingdom with blood, sweat, and mastery. Dakota Dicha, the prodigy who rose from obscurity to dominance with power, hunger, and heart. Whether they ever meet or not, their names will forever be linked. Two champions from different worlds, bound by destiny and separated by nothing but time.